Overcoming analysis paralysis. You're listening to the right episode of the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Kiles. Carl White.
Good to see you, brother.
Overcoming analysis paralysis. Hold on. I need to think about it first. Hold on. I'm analyzing.
Okay. So analysis paralysis. I think we
Yeah.
can all relate to that.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what I've always called this in my own personal life? I'm getting ready to get ready.
Ooh.
I'm getting
Wow.
ready to get ready. So two questions come to mind.
Okay.
So how can I identify when I'm doing this
Yeah.
as opposed to planning? What's the difference between analysis paralysis and
Mm.
planning? And then once I've identified what I'm falling into, how do I push through it, overcome it, take action, like make that decision?
Hey, I want to hear your insight on this. I've got a thought, but like, how do I know that I'm over analyzing
You know, the first
versus,
thing I would do,
yeah, what's that? Tell me.
and gosh, the
Hey,
first
hold up,
thing,
and let me just brag on you real quick. You and I have been doing this together, and I've had the privilege of partnering with you for the last 3 years now. And this is probably the thing you are absolutely hands down the best at. Where I have found myself saying, "Dude, I got to get ready, get ready, get ready." You're like, "Bro, you've already taken so much action. I'm running to catch up," and so you're
well,
like, you have been an example of ready, fire, aim, and it's such a gift because that's where you win is when you just take action. So, okay, I want to hear your answer.
all right. Well, I appreciate the kind words, but yeah, and all that's good. You know, the ready, fire, aim. The fast action will always win. Yeah, you have to be okay. Steve Jobs had this thing. You have to be okay with crashing and burning, or
Mm,
otherwise you're not going to accomplish anything.
so good.
And learning that when we crash and burn, that we don't get charred, or we don't get fried. We just get a little burn. We get a little first degree burn, like a sunburn, and then we learn from it.
Mm.
And then we keep going on, and I'm okay with getting a sunburn here and there, right? I'm okay
Yeah.
with doing that. So
Hey,
so
so how do
I
I know if I'm over planning or doing the right amount of planning? So,
all right. So the first thing I would do is I would go to disc. So the disc profile,
okay.
right,
Yep.
which is a
Yep.
personality test that is
Yep.
freaking dead on.
Yep.
And if you go to discprofilelink.com, DISC profilelink.com, I own that. And it's a personality test that you can take. There's no charge. Well, actually, there is a charge. I just pay it every month, right?
Yeah.
And so discprofilelink.com.
Hey, by the
When
way,
you
such a cool act of coolness, man. That's so cool.
Well, I put it on your credit card, so I appreciate so. So disprofilelink.com. What that does is it spits out a 72-page report
Yeah.
that will teach me about me.
Yeah.
And when I read that,
Mm.
it told me it told me why I do certain things.
Hmm.
And it also I shared mine with people. Like, I don't know if I've shared it with you, but I've shared it with like everybody, right? So yeah, I share mine all the time, because the other thing is it helps people. Like, when I read yours, Steve, it
Yeah.
helps me understand where you come from,
Right.
right? And so so Diane and myself, we've been working together for like 24 years now, right? And we have very different talents, very, very, very different talents. Some of them, she's got more of my talents than I have of hers, right? But when I read her disc profile, I went, oh,
That makes sense.
okay,
Hmm.
that's how this works. So when I read my own disc profile, I go, oh, so I tend to overanalyze things.
Hmm.
So then I learned, all right, well, if I want to succeed, my inner voice is saying, hold off, you need more information. But come
Hmm.
to find out, my brain lies to me sometimes,
Mm.
right? And so I have to say, all right, brain, what you're doing is trying to protect me. It's
Yeah.
trying to protect me from crashing and burning. But the only way to guarantee I don't crash my car is never take it out of the garage, right? You're not going to win a race if you never take your race car out of the garage. You got to do some laps, and you have to be okay with trading paint, bumping fenders, and frankly, hitting the wall every now and then,
Yeah.
right? Because if you're not going to win the championship. Zero people have won the Super Bowl without having an interception that season.
Wow.
100% of the quarterbacks that won the Super Bowl,
I've
100% of
had,
them have, yeah. And so I think we have to take realization of my brain is saying hold off to protect me, but I can't be in the protective mode all the time or I'll never win. And so if my brain is trying to protect me from a bear, I'm going to listen to it. If it's trying to protect me from a phone call, I, I'm not getting eaten by a bear.
yeah.
If it's trying to protect me from doing this meeting or doing this presentation, I'm not going to get eaten up by a bear if it doesn't go good.
Yeah.
And our brain doesn't know the difference between the fear of a bear and the fear of call reluctance or rejection of our offer. Our brain
Mm,
sees it as equally the same,
wow.
but it's not equally the same. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is just self-awareness of
Mm,
why I'm doing something and understanding and embracing my brain for trying to protect me and honoring it, but in the same moment, kind of calling it out, saying,
yeah.
hey, I
Yeah.
know what you're doing. I know you
Yep.
mean well by it, but you're not going to hold me back from the success that I deserve, that you deserve. And so I think it's just I think it's calling your brain, hey, I'm calling BS on this one,
Mm,
you know?
mhm. Yeah. I
Does
love
that, does
it.
that sound kind of weird?
No, it's perfect. And I thought on a practical side, like as you were answering, and I'm just sitting here thinking, how do I do? Because I'll never forget in the saying I heard my dad. He worked all the time, loved him to death, amazing man, learned so much from him. But I'd go to the restaurant. He was in the restaurant business. He'd work from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m., 7 days a week. That's all I remember. The only time I got to spend with him, I was back there prepping food. It was a
Mm,
seafood restaurant. And I remember Carl, he said, "Hey, son, if," and he didn't mean it ugly. It was
yeah.
one of those sayings that everybody says and you think it's right, but it's really not. But it was, "Hey, son, if you're going to do it right, anything, if you're going to do it, just do it right." And it was probably in haste. Like we were in the middle of
Mhm.
a rush. And it's like, "Steve, if you're going to do it right." And and I'll never forget that marked me. And I didn't even realize that now it was like, well, it's got to be right before I do it. And what I realize is the better phrase is, if you're going to do it a little messy. Anything we're doing is worth doing badly because you're not going to do it right the first time. So here's what I think about to not over prepare. And Carl, this is kind of simple for me. I take actions during office hours. I study after hours. So, like for me, if I'm working on something new, if it's in green time and I've got calendared green time and I've got red time on my calendar, a practical thing is I don't study, I don't plan, I don't prepare during action time. Like what I'm doing is if I'm learning scripts or if I'm learning a new process, right now, you and I are working on some processes. I don't do that during my 7:30 to 4:30 every single day. I do that from 5 a.m. to 7:30 when I'm out exercising, listening to something. I'm thinking about it.
Mm.
It's on the weekend when the kids are already tucked in, Steph's doing her thing. I'm going to be thinking about and prepping because what I think about is during my go time, I got to go. And during off time, I got to prep. And if they ever I just can't take my action time, my firing time, my sales time, my core activity time to say, man, I'm going to work on this script. Now, what I will do is I've always got a list of scripts and processes on this second screen. So while I'm having conversations, I'm looking and so what I've been studying, I'm looking at, but it's while we're taking action. And man, I just think, how do you overcome analysis paralysis? You got to just take action. And you know what's helping us too? This community, being a part of what we're doing. It every single day, it's like, hey, I got to wake up and take action. Why? We're an action-based organization. We got to get out and go.
Man,
So
that's good. That's really good stuff. So and let's say even if I split my day
yeah,
and said, all right, I'm going to take action from
half the day.
nine to
Yeah,
noon.
yeah,
9 to noon is my action time. Can't think, can't prepare. I'm just going to do.
that's
I'm
it.
just going to do from 9 to noon. I'm just going to do
Green time.
green time, money
Yep,
time.
yep,
And then I'm going to take my lunch break.
yep,
I'm going to chill. I'm going to come back at 1 o'clock. And from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, I'm going to put out fires, chase conditions,
yep,
analyze,
yep.
research, learn new loan programs. put together my list,
Yep.
research in some scripts or some action items, look into the new shiny whistle, like whatever that is, right? It's all good, but not from 9 to noon. From nine to
That's it.
noon, I'm gonna take action. Dude,
That's
I've
screen
never
time.
thought of that.
Yeah.
I really like that. I
Well,
really
it's
like
very,
that.
very simple. You just can't let your preparation overtake your green time. That's when you get in trouble. And then the more action you take, listen, you and I, we were talking about this last week. I had a call that was so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad, Carl. Like I'm telling you, I felt sorry for the lady. I was just like, dude, that Carl would kick my butt. That was so bad. But the reason I say
No,
that
man,
is,
I'd embrace it, man, because
well, but what I was going to
we
say
both
is
are gonna learn from it.
yeah, and one of the things that happens is it doesn't matter how good you get, it's never going to be perfect. It's about
Yeah,
the action, the action, the action. So
yeah.
overcoming analysis paralysis. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Take massive action.
The 30-second synopsis is spend a designated set time of the day, my preference first thing in the day to make sure it happens, on action time, and then allow myself to stop at,
Yeah.
say, whatever, noon,
Yeah.
and then analyze the rest of the day. But it has to have an action part of each and every day, Monday through Thursday.
I
How,
love
how
it.
do I how do I make sure that happens, man?
Well, I tell you what, we'd love to help you. We got a great plan and a strategy here at the Marketing Animals. Go to freedomplanningcall.com. Myself, Kristen, one of our team members, we would love to walk you through literally a proven plan that you can execute right now. I'm telling you, with very little preparation, we already know the results you'll get if you'll do the activity. Freedomplanningcall.com, freedomplanningcall.com, and we'll give it to you about 30, 45 minutes. Make sure you're in front of a computer. You can screenshot it. We'll give it to you. Freedomplanningcall.com. Carl, great episode.
Great episodes, man. I love this. So
I love it. Hey, remember this.
I love the clarity. I love the
Yeah,
clarity that you just gave. So good
yeah.
stuff.
Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See you.